So today I wanted to talk about the koshas. Kosha, Kosha. It means sheath or a containment of some sort. There are 5 subtle bodies, 5 sheaths that the human being is made up of. And in previous talks, I've said a lot of the information that I love and that I've collected it doesn't necessarily line up exactly with all of the information. So this is just a new map. In most yoga books, if they talk about the koshas, they talk about them individually, and they are like peeling an onion where, it's hard. It isn't an exact like concentric circle, concentric circle, concentric circle. There's a little bit of overlapping. And the koshas, that's the intro, koshas, sheath. So I like to think about them as working. So somewhere in the universe, we'll say up in this corner. Oh, good, this pen works. I wasn't sure it was going to work. Up in this corner, there is the whiteboard. There is white energy. So that energy is really, really pure. And there's an area in the universe of 100% source, divine, pure energy. And that is the most common energy that is the underlying foundation for everything else in the universe. So the whole board is white. Yay. And this is where we as human beings originate. So we originate from here. And as we drop away, can you see that little drop? Yes. Okay, as we drop away, we enter into another area of the universe. And I kind of imagine that because I'm making this part up, disclaimer, I'm totally making this part up. No one has told me this. Every map I study having to do with energy containment, energy, anything, there's usually 3 layers. So I imagine there's like 3 subtle layers of something. This is so big that we have to pass through before we get into the next atmosphere. So we originated right here, and it's beautiful and pure, and the whole universe has that. And then we drop away from that so that we can begin to experience other things. And we're just going to say, I don't want my pen to be subtle. We're going to say that this atmosphere has the divine energy, the white energy, and another type of energy. And kind of like when you make a snowman, if the snow is perfect, as you roll the snow, it collects. Oh, I should know the scientific name for that. Dryer lint does it. There's a scientific name for it, where the largest thing collects all the smaller things. Anyway, ignore that. We're dropping through this atmosphere. And by the time we get to the edge of it, we've actually collected another sheath that has stars. We might need a new pen. Okay, and then we come through another atmosphere in the universe. And I'm just assuming that there's kind of 3 layers of subtlety that we pass through to get to the next atmosphere. And here we enter in, we have our divine pure core, then we have our sheath that has stars on it. And as we travel through, we end up collecting another sheath. And each sheath, I know you're getting this, but let's say this sheath There's our divine center and our stars, and we've collected another sheath, and this one has circles. Oh, I wish I had collected another pen. So this has the divine energy, the stars from that atmosphere above it. Above isn't really the right word. And well, it is for us today. And circles. It has one more aspect that energy can have. So it has white, purity, whiteboard, circles, stars. And then as we get into the, excuse me, the next atmosphere, we enter with 3 sheaths. And by the time we get through it, we have 4. Circle, 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 circle. And the first one is stars. Well, it's really the second. The first one is plain whiteboard. The second one is stars. The third one is stars and circles. Stars and circles. And then this one we'll say has triangles. So it has stars and whiteboard and circles and triangles. Stars, circles, triangles, whiteboard. It's just one more type of vibration added on so that things become more layered and more varied. So this has stars, circles, triangles, stars, circles, triangles, stars, circles, triangles, stars, circles, triangles. And now we have pure whiteboard, stars, stars and circles, pure whiteboard, stars, circles, triangles. And then here we managed to have 5 sheets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we will put in squares just for fun. So this atmosphere here has whiteboard, stars, circles, triangles, and squares. That's supposed to be a star. I know you can't really see it that well anyway. Oh, look, I'm kind of drawing up. There we go. Okay, so I just have to, the center one is the whiteboard. The next one is only stars. The next one is stars and circles. The next one is stars and circles and triangles. And then the next one is stars, circles, squares, whiteboard, triangles, and yeah, that's it. That's 5 things. Whiteboard, stars, circles, triangles, squares. Stars, circles, triangle, square, all existing with the whiteness of the whiteboard. Stars, circle, triangle, square. Okay. Kind of drawn our map. So this is called Anandamaya. Ananda is pure, pure bliss, pure light, pure love, pure, so pure it doesn't have a name, pure truth. And when we come, and Maya means knot or connection or entanglement. So we come from this area where the energy is Ananda and we drop out. There we are. We're very small at first. We drop out. And this is the first kosha. It becomes the innermost kosha. And then as we travel through this atmosphere, this is the pure atmosphere. This is the karmic atmosphere. I'll get to the names in a second. Pure and then karma. And karma, as we think of it like, oh, I yelled at someone and then I stubbed my toe. That's like super simple. That isn't this. This karma is the fact that we are now in relationship. We have become separate enough that we are in relation to every single thing that exists in the whole universe, the whole galaxy. I don't know what's bigger, a universe or a galaxy. Anyway, so as we descend, earth language, as we descend, we collect a sheath, and that is called Vijnamayakosha, the Vijnamayakosha. And it has to do with karma, and it's very, very pure. It's just the fact that we are separate enough to be in relationship to other things. And then we come into this atmosphere, and this atmosphere has to do with communication, recognition that there are other things, recognition that there are other beings, recognition, self-recognition also. So it's purity, karma, and then some sort of sense of self, sense of, I don't know if quite purpose is the right word, but sense of self. And we collect another sheath, and that is called, so we have Anandamayakosha, Vijnamayakosha, Manomayakosha, M-A-N-O, Manomayakosha. And then we pass through and we come into another atmosphere that has another type of energy added on top of all of the energies we already have collected and that already exist. And we collect another body, and this is called the Pranamayakosha. And this atmosphere has to do with intellect, consciousness, emotions, energy, direction, groupings, what else? Anyway, prana, you know what prana is. Pranamayakosha. So we collect our pranic body. And then this here, we come in and we're in another atmosphere, and it has another type of energy. These we represented with squares. It has another type of energy, and we now have 5 koshas. And they all, in order for us to be human, they all function together. There isn't any time where there's only one kosha working or one kosha goes offline. So we did this, and we ended up with Anamayakosha, A-N-N-A, Anamayakosha. I love this one. It means food. Ana means food. Anamayakosha, food body sheath. So that's our physical body that we gained here. So this is kind of coming from divine, and becoming human. And then when we decide to drop off our body, first we drop off our body and we ascend, earth language, we ascend, and then we drop off our pranic body and we ascend, and we drop off our Pranamayakosha, we drop off our body of creativity, spontaneity, lightness, communication, drop that off, artistry. And then we have pure karma of just still being in relationship. And then we merge back into the pool of the divine. If reincarnation is a thing that you like to think about or that you believe in or whatever, if you think that that is a scientific thing in the universe, then you remerge into the divine for some period of time. And I do know quite a bit of trivia about reincarnation. One of the cool things is the shortest amount of time before you can come back is you have to be dead for 6 weeks. I know it's Kali Yuga and that might not be the correct calculation, but that's really fast. So anyway, you come back up here, you stay as long as you want, you rest, you do whatever you do up here. I don't know if it's called rest, you just vibe out. We'll call it vibe out. You vibe out, and then maybe you come back, do this again, and then maybe you leave, do this again. And in different stories, this path from the divine to the physical body can be really, really long. It can take quite a bit of time once you start to pass through these atmospheres, these subtle atmospheres, and gain these sheaths. Some people say it can take a long time. And then there's the 6-week trivia thing, which seems that it doesn't take that long. Anyway, so these are the koshas. In most yoga books, they're talked about in relationship to health and meditation. And in most yoga books, everything that's written down is written down about adults. Very seldom do you read much about, babies trying to reach enlightenment, although you do read that some babies show up already enlightened. And some babies, some people, when they got old enough to have language, they can remember this trip. And also it's a siddhi to remember your birth. And remembering your birth isn't just coming out of the body that is hosting you. It's actually this whole descent into the physical body. So that's kind of cool. I forget what that's called. So anyway, these are the 5 koshas. It's Anandamayakosha, Jnanamayakosha, Manomayakosha, Pranamayakosha, Anamayakosha. And I will spell those for you. And then because I love trivia, I'm also going to give you a little bit more info. So Anandamayakosha, A-N-A-N-D-A, Ananda Maya, M-A-Y-A. It's usually written as one word. Anandamaya Kosha is a separate word, K-O-S-H-A, or K-O-S with a dot over the top, A. Anandamayakosha. Sometimes people don't put the Maya on it. You may have books that say Anandakosha, totally same thing. And then Vijnanamayakosha is V-I-J-N-A-N, Vijnan Maya, M-A-Y-A, Kosha, K-O-S-H-A, V-I-J-N-A-N, and it's Vijnan Maya, Vijnan Maya Kosha. Sometimes that second N, I've seen books where it isn't on there. Anyway, V-I-J-N-A-N. And then Manomayakosha is M-A-N-O-M-A-Y-A Kosha. And Pranamayakosha, you probably know how to spell that one. P-R-A-N-A Maya, M-A-Y-A Kosha, K-O-S-H-A. And then Anamayakosha is the food body, the physical body, A-N-N-A M-A-Y-A, Pranamayakosha. Oh, you know what's kind of cool? Look up there. Do you see, let's see if I can, yeah, that makes sense. The kata, the scarf, the white scarf hanging behind me, was given to me when I went to Nepal. And then that really lovely mala was made out of fresh leaves and fresh flowers that are made out of, or like fresh wood that makes little pink flowers up there. And it's so beautiful. And that was given to Beryl when she arrived in India in the 70s. It's her mala. I mean, it's not 108 mala, but it's a super special mala. Okay, that was a good sidetrack. Back to the koshas. So this book called Light on Ashtanga Yoga by B.K.S. Iyengar, it's probably out of print. You can find them used, and there's a lot of different covers. So if it says Light on Ashtanga Yoga by B.K.S. Iyengar and it's not very thick, this is it. This is probably the second most favorite book of mine. This is cute. Look, there's Patanjali. Okay, so page 94 has a list of the koshas, and his list is 7 koshas instead of 5. And actually, one of those koshas has like 3 subtle koshas. So they are, and he's going from physical to non-physical. Anamayakosha is physical. Pranamayakosha is physiological. We can just go with that. Manomayakosha is psychological. Vyanamayakosha is intellectual. Anandamayakosha is the body of joy. Chittamayakosha, C-I-T-T-A-M-A-Y-A, Chittamayakosha is consciousness. And that kosha seems to have 3 sub-koshas. They are manas, M-A-N-A-S, buddhi, B-U-D-D-H-I, and amkara, A-H-A-M-K-A-R-A. So Chittamayakosha, C-I-T-T-A-M-A-Y-A, is consciousness. And then there's 3 divisions of consciousness, which are not explained. And that is manas, M-A-N-A-S, manas kosha, buddhi kosha, B-U-D-D-H-I, and amkara kosha, A-H-A-M-K-A-R-A kosha. And then there's one more major kosha, and that is Atmamaya kosha, A-T-M-A-M-A-Y-A, excuse me. Atmamaya kosha, self. And in this book, B.K.S. Iyengar did try, here it is, this page, he did try to kind of pull everything together to show us what the human form is, like the map of the human being. And it says map of the human being, gross elements, systems, values, other values, sapta koshas, that means 7, supta kosha 7, tan matras, subtle elements, indrayas, trigunas, tridosha. He has gunas and dosha, that's cool. Sapta dhatus, so 7 dhatus, and trimala. So anyway, this is intense and definitely put a lot of information together. I'm gonna go ahead and read some of it. You are welcome. That's really the whole kosha thing, is the human being. I learned 5, and I love the idea of macro and micro. most of the books only talk about the human being. When I learned it, it was explained to me with this sort of in and out of divine energy, and that this trip to Earth is not scary, and that the trip off of Earth is not scary. It's just a natural process and not a big deal. Okay, so if you want a little more, the map of the human being, Maha Bhutas, gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Systems, cellular, skeletal, muscular, digestive, respiratory, circulatory, nervous, glandular, reproductive. Panchavayus, prana, apana, that means, pancha means five vayus. Prana, apana, dhyana, udana, samana. And I'll go over a map of the vayus. They're the winds of the body, and that's kind of fun. So we'll do that sometime. Pancha upavayus, these are the subtle winds. These are super fun. Naga Kurma, Kraka, Devata, Danamajaya. And then Saptakosha, 7 koshas. Anamayakosha, Pranamayakosha, Manamayakosha, Vyanamayakosha, Anandamayakosha, Chittamayakosha, and Atmamayakosha, which is the self. I think all those other ones I gave you the word for. So next is subtle elements, tanmatras, smell, taste, shape, touch, and sound. Smell, taste, shape, that's kind of cool. Shape, touch, and sound. Smell, taste, shape, rupa. Fascinating. Shape is instead of sight, but that makes sense because that's what you see with your eyes. Indriyas, hands, legs, speech, tongue, skin. And then subtle indriyas are eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. Trigunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. Tridoshas, vata, pitta, kapha. Sapta dhatus, rasa, rakta, mamasa, meda, ashti, maja, sukra. And that is chyle, which I don't think we have an English word for that. Blood, muscle, fat, bone, marrow, semen. And trimala, sweat, urine, and feces. And that's the map of the human being, according to B.K.S. Iyengar. B.K.S. Iyengar is a brilliant, brilliant writer. I really enjoy his work. That's it. 7 koshas in here, 5 koshas as I learned them. Just like when we had the lists of the yamas and niyamas, you know, different people have different lists. So they're not all going to line up. The more that you look into a topic, the more information you find on it that isn't in agreement. I mean, it's just subtly different. So that's kind of fun. All right, thanks. Thanks for hanging out. Love you. I'll get a new pen before I have to use a whiteboard again. Bye.